So we have two installation methods, TUI and GUI. GUI is normally graphical installation method where you can use your mouse also for doing the installation. And TUI is where you can, it's a command line installation where you can choose the options, different options to select the installation or do the installation. But after installing, you can get graphical interface or you can get command line interface. It is only matter how which options you select. Does not matter which installation method you are choosing. You're choosing TUI or GUI. It does not matter. You can have installation GUI or CLI both. Now, first I will show you what graphical command line TUI installation, and then after that we will see that GUI installation. Now, for doing the TUI installation, that means text based installation, text user interface installation. So first you have to select the installation option from here. Either you want to test the media and then install, or you want to install directly if you feel like your CD DVD is okay, it is not having a problem, so you can go with that install Red Hat option. Or if you are having any doubt on your DVD, then you can go for test and then install. Or if it is not working graphical installation, then you can go to troubleshooting and then you can select install from the basic graphic mode. And if your machine is corrupted, you have installed but it is not running, it is problem, then you can go for rescue mode. Rescue, that is what if you have problem with the installed version. Or if your machine hardware is giving problem, RAM, then you can check memory test. And if you have already installed the system and you want to start that one, then you can go for boot from local drive and back to main menu. Now I want to do the installation, so my installation DVD is okay, it is not having a problem, so I will not go for test, I will go for directly installation. So I select the first option. Now I want to do the installation, but I want to do the CLI TUI installation, TUI method. Now for that, what I will do here, if you see here, it says press tab for full configuration options on menu items. So you have to press tab. So first select the option for installation and then press tab. Now when you press tab, it shows these lines here. This is the booting parameters and your cursor is at the end of the line. Now I want to do the TUI installation, so what I will do, I will press space here and then I will type Linux text. So what I did here, at the end of the line I give a space and then I type Linux text and then I will press enter. So this will start what? It will start TUI installation method. Let's see that. Enter. This is starting. Is loading, it is booting from the DVD and now it will see. Okay, now here we have the options for installation. Now what option it is showing here, it is showing number wise. You can see it is the installation and you have all the option as a number wise, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 options we have. Now we have to configure all these options. Now if the option is configured, then you will see this cross mark. If the cross mark is there, that means the option is configured. And if this exclamatory sign, that means the configuration option is not configured. It is not configured and you have to configure it. And it is here, it is blank. It is not an exclamatory sign or not a cross sign. That means it can go by the default. That means if you don't configure it, it will still work. But these are, you have to configure. Now some of them is saying what? It is processing. Here in this option it is saying processing, and here also it is saying processing. Processing means at the time when it prints this menu, that time that option was processing. It was not selected and it was not decided. But we have to do it one by one, each configuration option. Now here it is saying please make your choice from above. Q for quit. If you don't want, if you mistakenly come here, don't want to install it, then you can press Q and come out from here. If you want to start the installation, then you will press B to begin the installation, and R for refresh the menu. Refresh the menu, that means if you see here it is processing and it is not decided yet, so we can check by refreshing it. So we can refresh it to check whether it is processed or not. And if you want to do configure any option, so we'll give that number of that option. Suppose I want to configure number 1, so I give here number 1 and press enter. Then it will show us that what you have to configure with number 1. Then number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now it is still processing, so what I will do, I will refresh the screen first time. So I'll give R and enter. Now it is refreshed and it is now completed. So now when you see here again, so number 1 is saying that it is already configured. Number 2 is not configured. Number 3 is now configured because it was processing that time. Now it is configured. Now number 4 was processing, but it is not configured. You have to select your choice. Number 5, 6 is already there. Previously also it was configured. Then number 7 was already there, the same way. Then this number 8 and 9 you have to configure. Okay, one by one I'll show you those options. The first option, the first number 1, is to select the language setting. By default you say it is selected what? English United States. So if you want to change the language, it is already selected, but you can change it. Or if it is not selected, then you can select it. But this one is already selected. So if you want, then you can change it. So suppose I want to change the language. So I'll press number 1 to configure and press enter. Now it is saying what? It is showing all the languages we have. So we have these number, you can see number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 till this. But it is not, the list is not completed. It is saying what? Press enter to continue, because the list is not completed. So one more time I will press enter, and now the list is completed. Now what is it showing here? From 1 to 69 languages it supports. Now you will find your language, whether you want, which language you want. So you can select those languages by giving this number. So it says please select language support to install, and B to return to the language list, and C to continue, and Q to quit. So what do you want? You select that language here. Now I don't know other languages, so I'll go with English, and because it is already selected, so I can press C, or if it is not, then I will select the number of language. The English is what in number 16. So I will select number 16. Now when I select number 16, now it is saying English, but wait, English United States, English United Kingdom, English India, Australia, Canada, Denmark, which English you want. So I'll go with number 1, English United States. So again I will select number 1 and enter. So it is already selected, but how we can change it? So the first option is configured. Now go for the second option. Second option is to select the time zone setting. For that we have to click number 2. So give number 2 and enter. Now it is saying where is your zone. These are the different zones we have: Africa, America, Antarctica, Arctic, Asia, Atlantic, all these zones we have. So which zone right now we are in and which zone we want to select, we can select by number. So I'll select 1, Africa. Now in Africa, which city you want? So you have all these cities. Now you can select what city you want. So here on number 27 we have Kampala. So I will select number 27 and enter. Now we can see here that our time zone is also configured. Now the configuration number 3, and it says what? It is already selected, installation source. Now installation source, that means where you're installing from which source. So we are installing it from the DVD, and that is what? Local source. So by default it is selected the local media because we booted this system with that local DVD. If you want, then you can install it from the network also, and for that you can select the network option from here. But right now we have not selected the network option, we have booted from the DVD, so it is selected what? Local media. But if you want to change it, if you want to boot it from the network server, so there are some network servers, it is called Kickstart servers, which you can use to install the Linux machines from the network. So you can select that by using this number 3 configuration. Otherwise we can install it from our local DVD. So if you want to configure that, it is already configured, but let's see number 3. So we have these options. You want to install from the DVD, local ISO file or network. So we have option for installing DVD. So right now we are installing from DVD. So we can select number 1. Either we can go for network installation. But because we are installing from DVD, so I will select number 1. Now this fourth option. Now fourth option says software selection. Now here we have to decide what softwares we want to install in our machine. By default, all the softwares which requires to configure this Linux basic server. Remember, this is a server operating system which uses to configure different servers: identity server, database server, software management server, lots of different ways it can be used. Now web server also, mail server also. So this all required softwares to configure these different servers like web server, mail server, database server, identity management server. These all softwares are already comes with the DVD. So we don't require it to download it from anywhere. So by default, whatever we need for the default server is already there in the DVD. We just have to select it. So if you want to select based on your requirement, you can go for number 4. Now by default it selects minimum installation. Minimum installation, that means it will not install any graphical options, it will not install any other softwares, it will install only the required basic softwares for running the server. That is what minimum installation. So if you want graphical interface after installation, then you have to decide it in this number 4. If you want to have command line, then also you have to decide it here. As I said, after installation you can have GUI or CLI both. it based on your selection. So this is the selection where you can select whether you want graphical interface after installing or whether you want command line interface. Let's see what is inside the number 4. So I give number 4 and enter. So as I said, if you can see here, it is by default selected number 1, and that is minimal install. And minimal means it will not install any graphical options, it will not install any other softwares, it will just install very minimal requirement of softwares. Now if you want to configure this server for infrastructure management, then you can select this number 2. So it will install all the required softwares to configure this infrastructure server. That means like identity server. Then if you want file and print server, this server to be configured as a file and print server, then you can select number 3. It will install all those options which is required to, all the softwares which is required to configure like that. Then you can select basic web server, that is on number 4. That means what? It will install all the softwares which is required to configure a web server. Then you can also select number 5, that is virtualization host. That means just like this, just like in Microsoft is having Hyper-V now, where you can create virtual machine inside Microsoft server. Same here we have in Linux, we have what? Virtualization host. That means in this Linux server we can also install another virtual machines. And for that, if I select number 5, then it will install all the virtualization requirement of softwares. But all these options, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these options are not graphical. Remember, they are not graphical. They all go for command line installation. So whether you select any of these options, and when you complete the installation, you will get command line interface, no graphical. If you want server with graphical, which you see like graphical interface, then you will go for number 6. It will install server with GUI. That will give you the graphical interface and most required softwares installed for configuring server like infrastructure, web server. So it will install all those required software for the servers and install it in graphical. Now this TUI method of installation will have it has some less options than graphical installation. In graphical installation, when you see this same step number 4, you will see one advanced options. That means whether you select any of these, instead of that you can select some extra software to install. But here it will not give you that option. So TUI installation is actually less futuristic than GUI installation. GUI installation is more futuristic than this TUI installation. It is just a little more, not too much, but a little more futuristic than this TUI installation method. We will see that when we do the graphical installation. So right now what I will do, I will select minimal installation so that it can install quickly, and we will see the command line interface also. So next, when we install the graphical, then we'll see the graphical also. So this time I'll go with 1. So it is already selected, so I will press C to continue. Now it is saying what? Processing. It is saying processing. It is saying processing because I have selected option, and now it is, and in this side number 3 is also now processing because it is now getting those information from the CD DVD. Now what I will do, I will refresh it again, and now it is selected. So now number 1, 2, 3 and 4 is configured. Now number 5. Now number 5 is what? It needs installation destination to select. Right now it is saying no disk selected. Now destination, that means when we install any machine, any operating system, it will go and install it on hard disk, on your hard disk. So now it is saying what? Select the installation destination, that is the hard disk. Right now it is saying no disk is selected. So you have to select the hard disk for installation, and you have to create the partitions to install your machine. Now for creating the partition, I'll go for selecting the disk and creating partition. I'll go to number 5. So now here it is saying what? Installation destination. It is first probing the storage, and then it finds that there is only one disk I have, that is what? Number 1, and it is 100 GB, and this is company name, and this is the system name. Remember, the system name for the disk is SDA. If you have 2 disks, then it will say one will be SDA, the second one will be SDB. But right now we have only one, and that is already selected here. So we don't have to do anything else because it is already selected, and there is only one, and it is saying one disk with 100 GB capacity, and total is free. So if you have multiple disks, then you can select, you can choose from the disk. Like if you have 4 disks, then you can select which disk you want to install. Right now I have only one disk, so I will go with this and I will press continue. C for continue. Now it is saying how you want to create your partitioning layout. Now it is saying what? Auto partitioning options. Now here in this TUI installation method, it will not allow you to create custom partitioning. It always go for auto partitioning. That is why I said what? This TUI method is less futuristic than GUI, little less. So this is the second options which you don't get here in TUI installation method, and that is what? No custom partition option. It only give you option to create auto partitioning. And if we use the graphical installation method, then it will give us the option to create the custom partitions. But right now only auto partitioning. And what we have? 3 options here. First, replace existing Linux system. So if you have already installed the Linux system, then it will replace with this new one, but it is not selected. You can see why? Because this disk is empty and it is not having anything. Second option, it is saying use all space, and this is selected. Now why it is selected? Because in the disk we don't have anything, we don't have any installation, and that is why what? The old disk is free, so it is by default selected all space. We can go for free space also. Free space, that means suppose I have already installed the system in this, or if I have already some data in the hard disk and I have some free space remaining, so I can go select the free space. So it will not remove the existing data, it will not replace the existing data, it will remain as it is, and it will create our installation in only the free space which is available. Now in our disk we don't have anything, so we can select what? Use full space number 2, and it is already selected, so I can go for continue. Now next, when we select continue, then it says what is your partitioning scheme you want. Now partitioning scheme, it is giving these 3 options, 4 options here: standard partition, B-tree-FS, or LVM theme provisioning. Now by default when you select auto partition, it always go for LVM. LVM is what? Logical volume management. And this B-tree-FS is the new file system which we have in this RHEL 7. Now this LVM, it's always go for LVM because in this LVM we can easily manage our partition, we can easily increase or decrease the size of the partition. It is a flexible partitioning scheme, but we don't use right now this one. We'll go for standard because you don't know what LVM till now. We will see what is LVM in detail, but right now you don't know, so we'll go for standard. So I will select 1, that is standard normal partition, and I'll go for C, continue. Now this option is also, number 5 option is also configured, and it has selected automatic partitioning selected. Now remember, automated partitioning selected, that means what partition and how much partitions it will create, that is called default layout. That we will see. We'll do the graphical installation. I will explain what partitions it will create and how or why it will create actually. So if I say this, then it will right now create 4 partitions. It will create 4 partitions right now in our system automatically. Okay, now number 6. Number 6 is already there. It is already selected. We have not changed it, and it is saying kernel dump, kdump. Kdump is it means kernel dump, and kdump is enabled. So it is automatically selected by default. Why it is automatically selected? Because we are having more than 2 GB RAM. If you have less than 2 GB RAM in your machine, then this option is not available, and you cannot select this option. You cannot enable this kdump. This kdump do what? It actually reserved some space from your RAM for kernel crash dump. Kernel crash dump, that means if something goes wrong, if your kernel crashes, so the information for the crash is stored in your RAM. It will store that information in the RAM, and for that it reserved some space from the RAM. Now if you are having a less RAM than 2 GB, then it will not enable and it will not give you the option for kernel dump, because if you reserve some space, then it is already 2 GB, so it is very less. So you cannot reserve some space for this kdump. So if it is more than 2 GB RAM, then it will be already by default enabled. You can disable it, but it will enable by default. So if you don't want, then you can disable it. So I will not change it. We'll leave it as it is. Then number 7. Number 7 is to configure your network configuration. Network configuration, that means we have 2 options to configure the network. One, you can give manual IP addresses, or second, you can give auto IP addresses, automatic. So by default it always be on auto. We don't have to configure it in manual. So if you want to configure manual IP addresses, then you will go for 7, and then you can configure what IP you want to configure. But right now it's by default is already on automatic. So I will leave that option, and it is not necessary because it is by default on automatic. So we don't have to select this option also. Network configuration, it will go for auto. Or if you, in case if you want to configure manually, then you can go for 7, and then you can select. Let me show you the 7 also. So when you click the 7, now it says it detects that your wired connection is connected. This is your interface name, and this is right now disconnected, and this is the host name, this is your machine name, and this is the default name. So already when you are having, you can see that it is a default name, and default name is localhost.localdomain. Now if you want to change this default name, then you can change it from number 1, and if you want to configure your network, then you can configure it from number 2. So whether you want to change it this or this, you can change it from here. Okay, I will change the default name. By default it is localhost dot local domain. So I will select one. Now it is saying enter your host name. So I say this is our name. My server 1 and enter. So now you can see this is our machine name is now server 1. Then we can configure the network also. For that I will select number 2. Now it is saying how you want to configure. You want to keep it on DHCP for number 1. You want to configure IP address IP version 4. You want to configure IPv6. You want to connect it. You want to apply the configuration in installer configuration device. So you can select one by one each option to configure. This is to set on DHCP. For DHCP address, that will get the automatic IP address, or you can configure manually. So I will leave it on DHCP. I will leave it on 1. I will not do anything. Now it is saying enter new value for IPv address or DHCP and press enter. So I say DHCP and done. I'll not do anything else and I will say continue. And now it is done. So continue. And now you see I selected the DHCP, so still it is not configured because it is already on DHCP. Okay, so number 7 is done. Now for number 8. Now number 8 is saying what? Root password. Password is not set. Now root is what? It is an administrator of your system. In Windows machines, you are having one account that is called administrator, and that administrator is the whole and sole authority of your machine that can do anything in your system. That means in Windows there is one account which can do anything in your system. It has the full access of your system, and that account name is administrator. It is actually administrator, and the name of the account is also administrator. But in Linux machine, that administrator account name is root. That means this is the account name, that is name is root, and the root is what? It's an administrator and it can do anything in your system. It is having a whole rights of your system and it can do change anything. Now it says you have to give password for the root. Now remember, without password you cannot log into any Linux system. It is not allowed. Like in Windows you can do that. In Windows you can have a administrator without password, but here you cannot have. You have to have a password for your administrator, that is root. So let's configure that. Number 8. Now it is saying give me the password. So I will give my administrator password ABC. Did you saw the password when I type? It does not show. It does not show the password. It does not show the star also. Security. Now enter. ABC. Now what is it saying here? You have provided a weak password. The password is shorter than 5 characters. Would you like to use it anyway? It is giving me a warning that this is not a good password. You have to give a proper password which is more than 5 characters. So okay, I'll say no. I'll give a complex password. So ABC at 123. Now this is complex with numbers and characters and special characters. A, B, C at 1, 2, 3. What? It is again saying the same thing. Now what is it saying here? You have provided a weak password. What? The password fails the dictionary check and it is too simplistic and systematic. Would you like to use anyway? Now you know that this ABC at 1, 2, 3 is also very simplistic and systematic. In the world, everyone knows about the password. So it is not good to have this password unless it is a complex password. It is more than 5 character, but it is still very simple password. So it says that you have to have a password which is complex, which is not systematic, simplistic, not in the dictionary. So that, but okay, I can't give the complex password more than this, so I'm going to use this one. I'll say yes, I want to use it because it is now we are installing and we are installing as a and this is what root. So root can do anything. I can have it. So configured, the password is configured for the root. This is already now configured. Now the last option is number 9. Now number 9 is saying user creation. So one account is there which is administrator, and that is what? Root. It can do anything. But this Linux does not recommend to log in as a root. Remember, it is not recommended to log in as a root. So if you log in as a root and if you run any command mistakenly also, then it will do the job and it can corrupt your system. It can even delete your kernel file. It can even delete the kernel. And when you delete the kernel, your system will not start next time. So it is recommended here that you should not log in as a root. So for that, for doing normal task, you should create a normal account. So you log in always with the normal account and do your normal task. And if you want to do some important thing, then you can switch to root account to do that thing. So it is recommended to create a normal account. Now, if I don't create here normal account, then it is okay for me. It will not tell me to create and it will not force me to create the normal account. Now why it will not force me? Because I am using the minimum installation, that means command line installation. So when I start the machine, it will be on command line. So it is not easy for anyone to do anything in command line. Remember, command line is also a layer of security. That means if you know the commands, then you can do anything. If you don't know the command, you can't do anything. So for that, if I don't create this user account, it is okay. It will allow me. But if I install graphical and if I install the graphical interface, that means with using mouse and keyboards, anyone can do anything easily, like click here and click there and right click and delete. So they can do anything. In that case, it will not allow me to install without creating this normal account. It will force me to create normal account. Remember, it will force me. So right now what I will do, I will not create the user account here, and I will show you that it will not force me to create the account. But if I do the same in graphical installation, in graphical interface, when I select server with GUI here in the software selection, then it will not allow me. It will force me to create an account. So all the options are done. It is, you see, it is not mandatory. It is not showing exclamatory sign here. That means it is not mandatory to create an account. I can go and I can install now. So for installation, I will say B. I will press B to begin the installation. So I will press B and enter. Now you don't have to do anything and it is going to install. And here if you see, this is our hard disk name, SDA, remember, and it is actually creating 4 partition, SDA 1, 2, 3 and 5. As I said, by default it will create 4 partitions for default layout. And because I select minimal, So it is only installing what 318 softwares, you can see 318, and it will install very quickly. Okay, you can disable your mic, huh? Now here installation is finished, and now it is saying what, installation complete, press return to quit. Return means enter, so it is saying press enter to quit, and that means it will do reboot. And when you press enter, now it will reboot. And now it is started. Now we can see, now it is started, and it is giving me option to log in. Here it is our information about the Linux kernel information, and then it is saying this is the name of the machine, and it is giving me option to log in. So we don't have any other account, we have only one account, we have not created any other account. So the only account we have is administrator account, and that is root. So I give root, enter. Now it is asking for the password, and the password I have configured ABC at 123. So ABC at 123. Now you see it is not showing the password, not even a star 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 also, because of the security. Because if it is showing star star, then if someone is sitting around you, then they can guess the characters, they can guess the number of characters, like is it your password is 4 character, 5 character. Even they cannot see the characters, but they can guess the character, number of character, and then they can just guess, okay, 4 character, that means it could be this, 5 character, that means it could be this. That is why it does not show any star values also, but the password is typed. Now I press enter, and we are logged into the system, and now we have this system, and this is our Linux. Now whatever we want to do, we can do it here. Now, as you know, if you know the commands, then you can do anything. If you don't know the command, you cannot do anything. Cannot do anything, that means you can't do anything if you don't know. And that is also a layer of security. More what you can do, like you will type help if you don't know something, you say I need help, and you will get help like this. So if you understand this, then you can do anything, and if you don't understand, then you have to learn command line. You have to learn commands of Linux, and you have to learn how to manage Linux from command line. So if you don't know, then just get out from here by pressing reboot, and it will reboot. So this is what our command line installation, TUI installation, and after installation complete, here we have this command line interface. No graphical interface. We can do what we want to do, but we can do only from commands. If you don't know the commands, you can't do anything. Now next we will see graphical installation, and in that graphical installation we will select server with GUI, so that we will get what, graphical interface also. Now as you saw, when it reboots, if I reboot again, when it reboots, it is not detecting our CD DVD. It is not detecting our CD DVD. Why it is not detecting? Because actually when your installation is complete, your CD DVD automatically comes out. So it has come out automatically, and in this virtual it is actually disconnected. So I have to connect it again. So I'll go to the virtual machine, right click and setting, and this DVD, and you can see it is not connected. So I have connected again. Now once it is connected and our first device CD-ROM, first boot device is CD-ROM, so it will always select that CD-ROM. But it was not selecting because uh, it was removed, it was ejected. Now when your machine is start and it is already installed, your system is already installed, and you are not having a DVD in your DVD drive, or you are not selected the DVD drive as your first boot device, then when your system starts, it will give you this option. Whenever your system starts, this Red system, this is this RHEL. So it gives you these two options here. By default, the first option is selected and it waits for only 5 seconds. If you have seen, it waits for 5 seconds, and if I don't do anything in the 5 seconds, then it will go on to select the first installation and it will start it. The first option it will start. If you want to select the second one, then you can press up down arrow key from your keyboard and it will stop the 5-second count. Then you can select this second one also. Now what this second one and this first one, both are same installation. Both are same installation because we have installed only one time. But actually these are two kernels. We have two kernels in our system. First one is your normal kernel and the second one is for rescue. As you can see here, what is it saying? Rescue. Rescue, that means it is the same kernel actually like the first one. So if in case the first kernel is not working, it is giving a problem and it is not starting, so you can go with this second kernel, that is rescue kernel. So in case the first kernel is corrupted and it is not working, then you can go for the second kernel. And in the bottom you have this option. It is saying that use the up down arrow key to change the selection, stop the countdown. What it is saying here is press E to edit the selected item. The selected item, that means whether your normal kernel or rescue kernel. If you want to edit some parameters for these kernels, you can edit by this pressing E, and it will give you option to edit some parameters. And you can also press C for a command prompt from this boot option. So if you want to edit, now what you will edit here, any kernel you select and press E, it will give you these options to edit. Now these options are kernel parameters, the kernel which we have selected. It is the parameter for those kernel. If you select first kernel, this is the first kernel parameter. If you select second kernel, it is the second kernel parameter. So if you are having some problem loading the kernel, then you can see these parameters, you can modify these parameters. And when you modify these parameters, and you can start these modified parameters by using Control X. So whatever you change here in these parameters, you can start those kernel with those changes with pressing Control X. But remember, that is not permanent changes what you do here. It will be temporary changes for the current boot. Next time when you restart your system, it will not have that changes. Control C for the command prompt again, and escape to go back to or return to the main menu. Now what you do here, you can do change many parameters here, and you know what, by doing this changes you can even crack the password of root administrator. So if you are having any problem, if you want to crack the password for the root administrator, then you can do it from here. Right now will not do it, so I press escape and go back to the normal. Now I don't want to start it again. So if I want to start this, so I can select and press enter and it will start, but I don't want to start it. I want to start the installation. I want to start the installation in graphical. So what I will do, I will press all control delete key so that it will reboot, and then again it will detect the DVD, and then we will select the installation. So I am pressing all control delete. It is rebooting, and now again we see the installation option from the DVD. Now remember, it is waiting for the 60 seconds, and if I don't do anything, it will start this option. That is what, test this media and start the installation. But if suppose we have already installed, then we don't need to install it again. So what you do, if you stop the timer, then you can go for the first option, but this is also installation. Second option is also installation, but we have already installed. So we go to troubleshoot, and here we will select this option, boot from local drive. That is what we have already installed, and mistakenly we came here in this window, so we don't want to install again, so we can go for boot from local drive. Now I don't go there because I want to install it in the graphical. So for installing it in graphical, whether you select the test and install or normal install, select the option and then press enter. Don't do anything, just press enter, and it will start the graphical installation method. Okay, now here we can see the mouse. Now we can see the mouse, and we can use the mouse to select the configurations. So here, if you want to select the graphical installation, so you will select the option and then press enter, and then you will see this first option. This option, what it is, to select your language. That means you have to select what language you want and which region language you want, and after selecting it you will press continue. So when you press continue, it will open this screen. Now from here you have to configure all these options. Now just like we have did it in the text-based installation, the same options we have here, but we have it in graphical. So one by one you can configure all these options. And also I have said that this is what some it is more futuristic than the normal text-based installation. So it will give you some more options to select from. So you can go one by one for each option. Like first, select the date and time. So when you select the date and time, it will open this window with the map. You can select by using this drop down menu, region and city, or you can point your map here. If you know where is your city, then you can just click on the map to get the point. You can see the time here. You want 24 format, AM, PM, and you can see the date also. So you can change all these things, and also you can do enable the time zone, network time also. Network time, that means it can enable network time. That means it will take the time, update the time from internet server. So Microsoft, this Red Hat is also having its own time servers on internet, and it is configured in this. So when you enable it, it will get the update from that servers. So after configuring this, Then you can go for the network settings. The network setting, that means again you see the network interface name. You can configure it to DHCP, you can configure it to manual, and whatever you want you can configure it from here. Then the next option is to select the software. So software selection, here what we have: minimal infrastructure, file printing, web server, virtualization host, and server with GUI. Now the same options we have seen it on TUI based installation, but I have said that there is some extra option available in that graphical, and this is this one. So instead of selecting this, you can also select some advanced software from here. That means with this infrastructure you want web server also, so you can select infrastructure, and from here you can select the server, the packages for web servers. With web server you want graphic also, then you can select web server with graphic, you can select those from here. So you can custom, you can see that option to select. This is like a custom selection. But if you don't select any extra packages, then what you can do, after installation also we can install these things. It is not like you have to select this now. So if you don't select now, then it is okay, you can select it, you can install it after installing your system. But installing it in Linux, any software, is not that easy. It is not that easy, and it will always give lots of errors. So it is not like Windows that you just double click and install anything. It is not like that. We will see that, and we will see how we can solve the problem. So you select what you want. Now this time I will select the graphical one, and if I want, then I can select some extra packages, extra software also. After selecting that, then we can go for installation destination. Now installation destination, that means where you want to install. So here it will show you the hard disk name which you have. If you have multiple hard disk, it will show you those multiple hard disk here, and this tick means this one is selected. So if you select the other one, so other one will be ticked, and if you select the other one will select. That means the tick means that you are going to install it on this system, in this hard disk. Now if it is not showing here, then you can add this from here. Now this add disk option is for some specialized network hard disks. This is for some specialized network hard disks. Sometimes we have hard disks, we have network storage, and if you are using a network storage, that is called SAN, storage area network. So if you are using a storage area kind of network storage and you want to install your system on that, then first you have to connect the disk, that network disk, and then you can install it on your system, install it on that network disk. Okay, we don't have, we have the local one. Then you have option to select the partitioning option, and here it is having an option to select automatic configuration or I will configure partitioning. That means the manual option. That this option was not there in TUI. This option was not there in TUI. Only this option was available to select it, install it automatically. What other options are here? Like I would like to make additional space available if you want. If you are selecting auto, then you can make additional space for other data. Then you can also encrypt the data for security. And if you select this, then you will set a passwords next. That means it will ask for the password to set for encrypting your hard disk. So you can even encrypt your hard disk. It is like a BitLocker in Windows. Okay, so here what you want you can select. Now this time I will select what I will configure, and I will show you how we can configure the partitions. Now after selecting this, you press the done button here. Now when you press done, then it will ask here, and you can see here what it is saying. Automatic, if you select this option, it will install all necessary layout automatically by on selected disk. Remember, necessary layout. Necessary layout, that means only the layout which you have to have. And in this, you have to select what you want to create. But if you want to select that manual, then again you have to install those, you have to create those necessary partition layout. And then other than that, you can create any other. So we must have to select one partitioning option, either this one or this one. Now no further steps required in this option, but if we select the manual configuration, we have to create necessary partition manually. Remember the necessary partition I am talking about. So what is the necessary required partitions we have in Linux? So first, before this, you have to understand that how it works in Linux. It is not like Windows. It is not like Windows. It is different. So first, the partitioning, the file system style is different here in Linux. Now, do you know what is file system? EXE. This ext was started from ext1, then 2, 3, 4, 2, 3 and 4. It goes till 4, ext4. Now it is, that means 1, 2, 3, 4, that means it is getting advanced, more size, more space, more reliable, more robust. So latest one was 4, but this one was supported in RHEL 6. In RHEL 6, the default file system was ext4. Now they have introduced new file system in RHEL 7, and that is XFS. XFS file system. But actually it has not that features like ext4 have. It lacks some features than this one, but this one is more robust and it has extra feature than this, the advanced features than this ext4. But some old type features, like I will show you when we do the partitioning, we'll see what is not there in XFS. There is one thing it is not there, but there are something which is extra thing it is in this XFS. So this XFS is now the file system of RHEL 7. And these ones are what in Linux. In Linux, it supports this XFS, not NTFS. Remember, if you try to connect the hard disk of Windows in the Linux system, it will not detect. It will not detect Linux partition, because Linux partitions are NTFS and these Linux partitions are XFS or ext4. Now, if you are using the Kali Linux or Ubuntu, now those ones are basically designed for desktop use. So actually they have a support to detect the NTFS partition. Remember, detect the NTFS partition. By default in this RHEL 7, that support is not there. It's a server version, so it does not support that NTFS partition by default. I'm saying by default, that means we can install the support for that in this RHEL 7, and then it can detect the NTFS partition of Windows. Other than that, it will not support by default. But in other hand, if you're using Kali or Ubuntu, it will by default has that support. So when you install it, it will have a support and it can detect those partitions. Now, if the file system is different, the file system means what? The way we store the data and retrieve the data. So the system is different. That means NTFS and this ext and XFS is different. That means the way of storing and retrieving data is totally different than Windows. In Windows, you see the partitions. You see the partition C drive, D drive, E drive. But in Linux, you will not see any C drive, D drive or E drive. It will not show you any C drive, D drive. It is not like that. Now it is not like that because they are having a different structure. So what is there in Linux if it is not there any partition? But it is saying there partition, it is saying system partitions, it is saying about the partitions. So what the partition is here? Now here what you see in Linux systems, you will not see the partition, you will see the file system of directories. Remember I am saying directories, structure of directories. Everything is a directory here. Now what you will see the first directory, it is called slash. So what you will see is what slash. First you will see the slash directory. This is what it is called the root of directories. Root of file system. It is a root, it is called root of whole file system. That means your whole directory structure. Okay. I'm using mouse to write. Okay. So this is your root of file system. That means this is your main directory. Now all your directories, all your system directories, all your other directories are inside this one. That means when you open this, then you will see other directories inside this. You will see slash, that means this, then you will see under slash, you will see boot directory. Then you will see under slash, you will see root directory. Now this is different, this is root, the name of the directory is root. Then you will see home directory. Then you will see other directories like bin. You will see sbin. You will see lib. You will see where. You will see usr. So you will see all these directory which is under this slash. Now where is the partition? Partitions are not there. You will see no partitions. Now you know in your command line you will not see partitions. You see the you have seen already the command line interface. Can you see the partition there? You can't see that. But if you run a command to check the partitions, then you can see the partitions. Now if you install it in graphical and then you want to see the partition, again you will not able to see because it does not show the partition. It shows you only this directory, that is your root, and when you open it you will see all these directories and many other directories. Now these directories are what? System directories. Remember, they are going to be created. These are system directory. You can assume it like this is your C drive, and in the C drive you have some system directories. You don't create these directories, these will create automatically. They have their own purposes. But where is the partition? So partitions are not shows. It is like you are having a disk here. Suppose this is my hard disk. So it do what? It create the partition and it mount this partition on these directories. So first partition is suppose mounted on the slash. That means mount means what? It is linked. We can say it is linked, and in Linux world we say it is mounted on this directory, slash directory. Now whatever you keep in this directory, it will store in this partition. Now anything, that means every directory if you see in your system, any directory you will see in your system, it will be under slash. That means anything you store in this any directory, it will go to this partition. Now we can have different partition, we can have other partitions also. So for example, I want to create I want to put some movies here. So I don't want to put it into the system partition. These are system partition. Just like you can assume it's a C drive and you're having all the system files in the C drive. But you want to keep your you want to keep your data like any other data, movies or something. So you don't want to store it in this. So in Windows, what we do, we create D drive. So it's same here. I can create new partition here. Now for that, I want to store the data here. Now when you want to create the directory for the data, so you have to create it under slash. Remember, you can't create anywhere else. So suppose I create the directory for movie. So I have to create under slash. I select under slash, I will go and I will create directory for my movies. Now this directory is still under slash. That means if I store any file in the directory, it will store in slash, and slash means it is going to store in this partition. But I want this directory to have a new partition. So I'll create a partition and then I will mount it on this directory. Now mounting it means it is mounting in background. That means you will not see the link, you will not see the partition, but actually when you store the data in this directory, it will store in this partition. It will not go to this system partition. So what you will see is actually only directory. The partitions you will not see. If you want to see which partition is mounted on which directory, then you have to run some commands to check. You want to see that which partition is mounted on which directory. For that you have to run some commands, and you can also remove this from that and you can change it. Like you can remove mounting from here and you can mount it on some other directory. It will not remove the data because data is in this partition. So the structure of the Linux is very simple. You will see only the directories. You will not see the partitions. Partitions are linked. They are mounted on the directories, and you will store any data on the directory, then this data will go to that partition which is mounted on that directory. But every directory will always show under slash. Whether it is mounted on any other partition, still they will show under slash. So by seeing the directory, you will not understand that okay, this directory is having some other partition. For that you have to run some commands. So this is what the basic structure of Linux. So you will see what slash, and under slash you will see all these system partitions, system directories. System directories like these: boots, root is administrator's home directory. That means when user root login, it stores his desktop, document, everything, it will go to this directory. And when normal user logs in, their directories will go under this home directory. This bin directory contains all the binary files. That means all the command files. Whatever command you run in Linux, those commands are stored as a file in this bin directory. But if you want to run the administrator commands, they are in this directory, that is sbin, super user binary. All the commands here in this directory can be run by only root. No other user can run. Library directory has all the required library files. Variable files, variable data goes to the var directory. Like when you create database server, Oracle server, mail server, web server, all the data for those servers by default goes to this var directory. USR directory will contain all the other softwares you have in for your system. So when you install any other software, it actually goes to this. All the resources file goes to this USR. You can assume this directory as like your program file directory in your Windows. Now, what is this necessary required partitions? And that is what these partitions. So the first partition which is necessary for your system is what? Boot. Now see, it is, I am saying what? Slash boot. Now boot means it is for the boot directory. That means you have to have one partition, separate partition, which is mounted on this boot directory, separate than any other partition. So why we need the partition for this directory? because this directory contains kernel and other necessary files which is required to boot the system. And if you don't create the partition separately, then installer will automatically create this partition and mount with root partition. Remember what I said? You have to create, and if suppose you are creating manual partition, not automatic. If you create automatic, it will create automatically. But if suppose you are not creating automatic layout, you are creating manual and you forgot to create this boot partition, then what it will do, it will automatically create the partition and mount with root partition. Now root partition, that means the partition for this root. Now it can give you a problem if it is mounted with this root partition, because it necessarily need what, the separate partition. So you have to create manually. Now minimum recommended size for this boot partition is only 500 MB, because it is only contained some bootable files like this necessary kernel file and other necessary files. Now since it contains only booting files, any space more than 1 GB will be useless. So if you give 1 GB space, then it is okay, but more than that it is useless, no use. So it is what recommended is 500 and it can go for 1 GB, but more than that useless. Then the second important partition which comes under the system partition is what? Slash. This is what? Root partition. This is what? This partition, slash. Because remember, if you don't create any partition for anything else, it will store everything into this root. Every data in your system will go to root, and it must need a big space. So this is the main and compulsory partition on any Linux system. This partition contains the top level directory in the Linux file system. Top level directory, that means these are all top level directories, and if you create any directory, then you can create either in these directories or you create on top level. So Linux starts with the directory, and minimum recommended size for this partition is 5 GB. Remember, this is what minimum. Minimum, that means it will only have an option to install all the required installation files. Other than that, you will not face you will face problem if you try to install any other software. So you have to have this one as a big space. So more than suppose 70% space of your hard disk should be gone to this slash. Now you have swap. Now if you see the swap, this one does not have any slash here. If you see, no slash. And if you see no slash, means it does not come under this slash. It is not under slash. Why? It is not a directory actually. It is what? This partition works as virtual memory. If you have seen in Windows, it is called page memory or virtual memory. This is what it's a system may use this virtual memory if there is no enough space in RAM to process the data. So it is not a directory, it is actually a file which uses the space from your hard disk as a virtual memory. And make sure we understand it correctly. It is not an actual RAM also. It is only an additional hard disk space that can be used as a RAM to handle the extra load. To determine the extra load, we have to look at the application which will run on the system, and based on the application requirement we can adjust the size of swap space. So what is the space for the swap we need is depending on the applications what we are going to run in our system. Now default, basically the recommended size for the swap is the same size of your RAM. So if you are having a 2 GB RAM, then it is good to have same 2 GB RAM of the swap, 2 GB of swap. And if you go more, then you will give more space for your applications to run. So you can go at least double of RAM, like if your RAM is 2 GB and then go for 4 GB, it is good. And what it would do, it give you the proper space, additional space to run run the program. Like, you know, if you are having a RAM here, now if your RAM is 2 GB, so remember, whenever you start any program, it will run into the RAM. But swap is what? It's a part of your hard disk. And remember, hard disk is not a fast space. It will not work like a RAM. It cannot. Your hard disk cannot work like a RAM. So if you run any program, it will run in RAM. So if I run a program of 1 GB, it goes into the RAM and it will run. Now while it is running, if I run one more program of 1 GB, now what happened? It will also go to RAM and run. Now it can handle. Now if I run one more program of the 1 GB same time. Now how much programs are running? 1 GB, 3 GB programs are running, but our RAM is only 2 GB. But it will still not stop. It will try to process all the data, but your machine will start slowing down. Why? Because it is working one by one for each process. It is not able to. Now RAM is only the place where the data resides, but the processing is done by the processor. So processor is taking the data from RAM and processing it and then giving back it to RAM. So it will not process all these three processes at the same time. It will do one by one, but still it needs the space here to put those files here. Now because it is not having that much space, in that case this swap comes into place. And what these the process which is waiting, which is not processing by the processor, they can wait here. They can wait here for some time. And when they're required, they just go back to RAM. Remember, processing will always done in RAM. It will not process here. It is just like a waiting area. We can see it is a buffer area for RAM. So all the process which is not running or not processing by the processor, they can wait here. So what the RAM can be, have some free space. And that is why we need this one. It is what? Compulsory. It is necessary to have. So these three partitions are necessary and you have to have these three partitions. And when I am talking about partitions, that means these are directories. This is a system file, and those partitions which is we create for these, they will be mounted on these things. Like one partition will be mounted on boot, one partition will be mounted on root, and one partition will be mounted on this file. It is a file. And that is what we have to have compulsory. After selecting that, this kdump, I have already said, it is enable if you are having 2 GB RAM, more than 2 GB. If it is not, then it is disabled. Then network option we have seen already. This option is extra to select a security policy for your Linux system. Security policy, if you don't select, then it is okay, but if you select, then you have some different default policies are there. You can also even download some more security policies. Now after that, you can begin the installation. You can begin the installation. Now beginning the installation, now you see here there is no option for giving the password for root and creating the user. That option comes when you click begin the installation. So when you start the installation, then without wasting the time, you can see here the installation process is started. That means it will start doing the job, and also it will give you here option to create new user or password for root. So it will not stop the installation because it will take time. So it will goes on to install, and it will till in the middle of the installation, it will give you option to set the password for root and create new user account. So first you do what? You will set the password for root, that is necessary. Give password, retype password, and then you have to create new user account. Remember, when you install graphical, as I said, what? It will force you to create user account. So you click the user account option, then you give the full name, username, and then password, retype password, and then done. Done, it is created. Now if you don't create the account here in this option, and then when you go on, it will allow you to go, but when you start your system, when it is reboot and when it is started, then it will say that you have to create, and that time it will not give you a option to go next. It will tell you like compulsory you have to create an account. So after this, the installation will complete and you have to option for reboot. So when you reboot, now this option comes in the graphical, in command line it does not come. Here it comes, it says the license agreement. So you have to click and accept your license. And again here it says you have to subscribe. Remember I said RHEL is not free. So it tell you to subscribe. And when you subscribe, that means you click here. And for that you need internet connection. So it is giving you option to configure it also here. So when you click the subscribe manager, it will open this license agreement you have to accept, and then you go for the subscribe manager, and here you have to connect the server. This is Red Hat server for subscription. If you are having a proxy, then you can configure it. Next, it will ask you to log in with your credential like username and password, and then you have option to attach. Now where you will get the username password? When you get the subscription, and when you done, it says your registration is done and you are having a genuine version. And after that you will say finish and finish the configuration, reboot. Then the login option will come. You select the username, give the password, and then here your desktop.